Televisión México. Nieva en Ciudad de México causando problemas en el tráfico por carretera. La 10ª nota de Televisión México. Entrevista a don Aurelio Pérez, vicepresidente del SIN. 11ª y última nota de Televisión México. Asamblea de la OTI en México, Distrito Federal. Atención todos los servicios, falta 1 minuto y 30 segundos para dar comienzo a la emisión del SIN correspondiente al día 21 de enero de 1981. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Atención todos los servicios iberoamericanos, falta 1 minuto para dar comienzo a la emisión del SIN. Muy buenas tardes. Atención todos los servicios, faltan 30 segundos para dar comienzo a la emisión del SIN. Arranquen grabadoras.
In fulfillment of the obligations which the Iranian government has entrusted us with, it's therefore my duty at this moment to deliver your fellow citizen to you, Mr. Christopher, who officially represent the American government here.
Mr. Minister, members of the Algerian negotiating team, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, I have the great honor and privilege to act on behalf of the United States in affirming that you are back home and safely in our hands. This event answers our prayers, and we are more than delighted to accept the responsibility of seeing to it that you're returned to your homes and your families. I couldn't complete this occasion without paying my deepest respect to the government of Algeria, its president, its foreign minister, its negotiating team, and its foreign office. They have devoted themselves with great professionalism, great impartiality, high skill, and enormous courage to make possible today's event.
The hostages had been free for almost 8 hours, but tonight there was still the agony of waiting for a first glimpse. In Scranton, Pennsylvania, Teresa Ledesky sat in her tavern and watched her son, Bruce German, step off the airplane and enter the transit lounge. He was a step closer to home, and already she had begun to think of when they will meet.
I'll see you soon. I don't know people for 5 to 7 days because he doesn't look as if he's sick or anything, just to get a checkup and that. He may be out there in 3 days, maybe 2.
All across the country tonight, some watched by reporters and cameramen, and some behind closed doors, the families got their first look at the 50 men and 2 women. In Tampa, Florida, the mother of hostage Catherine Koob returned from church tonight to watch a videotape in an ABC News van. It was Elsie Koob's first glimpse since Christmas of her daughter.
Learned that the planes have landed in Algiers. $52, and I just won't call them hostages. They were prisoners of war. But they are all hale and hearty and are now, and you can imagine their happiness, they're preparing to board the American planes for the last leg of the trip to Wiesbaden.
Just a few moments ago, on Air Force One, before we landed at Warner Robins, I had received word officially for the first time that the aircraft carrying the 52 American hostages had cleared Iranian airspace on the first leg of a journey home, and that every one of the 52 hostages was alive, was well, and free. just how thankful we are that they are free, and we'll have a chance to answer questions. I'll exchange ideas with each individual hostage if necessary, and help to prepare them for coming back home as soon as possible.
How do you feel about the intentional delay, apparently intentional delay by the Iranians in letting the hostages go?
I think today, when we are so happy and excited and looking on the positive side of things, it would be better for me not to comment on the Iranians and how they have acted the last 14 months, which I believe is really abominable.
A consecuencia de las nevadas de anoche y de hoy en la mañana, la carretera México-Toluca fue cerrada a la circulación por más de 2 horas. Por tanto, numerosas personas llegaron tarde a sus trabajos. En las salidas de Toluca y Ciudad de México, decenas de autos y camiones de pasajeros enfilaron largas colas en espera del deshiele de la carretera. El lugar más afectado fue el tramo de la Marquesa, en el kilómetro 33, en donde la nieve prácticamente taponó lo ancho de la carretera. Sin embargo, no todo fue problema con las nevadas. Para los habitantes que viven en los lugares aledaños a la carretera, la nieve fue motivo de diversión. Muñecos y figurillas de nieve adornaron techos de casas y de autos. La Policía Federal de Caminos informó que para ofrecer mayor seguridad a los usuarios de la carretera México-Toluca, se cerró la circulación de las 7:30 a las 10:15 de la mañana. Elementos del Ejército Mexicano, de Salvamento y de la Cruz Roja auxiliaron a viajeros y evacuaron la nieve de esta carretera. Mientras, el Distrito Federal cobró esta mañana una apariencia que desde hace varios años no veíamos los capitalinos. La lluvia sentó polvo y humos contaminantes y la claridad permitió ver perfectamente, a muchos metros de distancia, la esbeltez de la torre latinoamericana.
Señor Aurelio Pérez, primer vicepresidente del CIN. ¿Cuál es el objeto de esta reunión, don Aurelio?
Mire, Maxim, tenemos una reunión anual, permanentemente, todos los integrantes del CIN, con objeto de evaluar qué tan bien estamos cumpliendo con nuestra obligación. Evidentemente, en cada reunión encontramos que hay sitios, hay ángulos que podemos perfeccionar, que podemos mejorar, siempre en aras de procurar darle al auditorio de nuestros países la mayor cantidad de información y la mejor información posible. En esta reunión no hemos contado desgraciadamente con la presencia del presidente del CIN, que es don Luis Escurra, de la Televisión Española. Pero a pesar de ello, yo creo que hemos logrado llegar a algunos puntos importantes, algunos puntos concretos, que nos harán que en los siguientes meses tengamos un mayor caudal de información y lógicamente, mejor servicio para nuestros oyentes.
Es muy costoso para los países el CIN, don Aurelio.
Es costoso, sí. Hasta ahora el costo se ha repartido de una manera proporcional al producto en bruto de ingreso en cada uno de los países. Y sobre esta base y sobre algunas más seguiremos trabajando. Evidentemente es más costoso. Mayores recursos. Sobre esta base vamos.
La Organización de la Televisión Iberoamericana, la OTI, inició hoy su reunión de Consejo Directivo aquí en la Ciudad de México. En la reunión de la OTI, encabezada por el señor Guillermo Cañedo, presidente de la organización y vicepresidente de Asuntos Internacionales de Televisa, participan representantes de cadenas de televisión de 10 países: Argentina, Brasil, Colombia, Costa Rica, España, Ecuador, Panamá, Uruguay, Venezuela y México. En su reunión número 45, el Consejo Directivo de OTI analizará los resultados de sus actividades durante 1980 y conocerá los programas de 1981. Así, se evaluará el resultado del Mundialito de Uruguay, se definirá el presupuesto que se ejercerá en este año, se revisarán los adelantos en la organización del Mundial de Fútbol España 82, se hablará de la celebración del segundo Festival Folclórico Iberoamericano, cuya celebración probable es en Portugal en mayo próximo, y se aprobará la celebración de la próxima Asamblea Asamblea de la OTI el 19 de marzo en México. Como punto importante en la agenda de la reunión del Consejo Directivo de OTI figura la celebración de los 10 años de la agrupación que se cumplen en este 1981.
Comenzó la misión a las 19:10, terminó a 19:24.
Dave Rader, Air Force, here out of shape.
Colonel, how do you feel about being out?
Oh, it's just fantastic. It's an experience.
Can you sum it up? What's it been like?
What's it been like being a prisoner?
Yeah.
It's been hell.
Did you fear for your lives at all?
I would like to say a thing. There's one more lady that we got to think about, and that's Cynthia Dyer. And I hope nobody ever forgets about her, because we sure as hell...
There are 4 Britons still in there as well.
Yes, that's right, and we know that. Oh, it's just a soup. This is just absolutely super. I've never been so proud to be an American in my whole life.
Thank you, America.
From the airbase, a short drive to the US military hospital at Wiesbaden, and another no less warm welcome, though whether they could hear the band is open to question. 2 longed-for things awaited them at the hospital, a bank of telephones so they could speak to their families, and, after 14 Islamic abstinence, crates of champagne.
The hostages had been free for almost 8 hours, but tonight there was still the agony of waiting for a first glimpse. In Scranton, Pennsylvania, Teresa Ledesky sat in her tavern and watched her son, Bruce German, step off the airplane and enter the transit lounge. He was a step closer to home, and already she had begun to think of when they will meet.
I'll see you soon. I hope for 5 to 7 days, because he doesn't look as if he's sick or anything, just to get a checkup and that. He may be out there 3 days, maybe 2.
All across the country tonight, some watched by reporters and cameramen, and some behind closed doors, the families got their first look at the 50 men and 2 women. In Tampa, Florida, the mother of hostage Catherine Koob returned from church tonight to watch a videotape in an ABC News van. It was Elsie Koob's first glimpse since Christmas of her daughter. In Bellevue, Nebraska, Paul and Mary Needham watched their son, Paul Jr., an Air Force captain, step onto Algerian soil. Minutes later, the Needhams opened a bottle of champagne and made a toast to the nation.
Here's to freedom for 52 Americans. It will never happen again.
In Memphis, Ernest and Susan Cook watched the arrival intently and quietly until their son Donald stepped into view.
I think I see Donald. Yeah, there he is. There's Donald coming down. He went like this. Look at him, like this. Look at him.
In New York tonight, in honor of the hostages, the Statue of Liberty is bathed in light for the first time since the bicentennial. And for almost the first time since then, the entire country seemed to be pulling together and wearing a smile.
Thank you. Hi.
Welcome. Go ahead.
And he's very good. sidii shuban halka wixii la marinay waa laga gooyay khalaas ma cunayo waxbaba ma cunayso
don't eat and he has the diarrhea.
shuban
The release of the American hostages in Iran is a source of tremendous satisfaction to the international community, and in particular to all those who have been deeply involved in the effort to secure their release ever since the American embassy in Teherán was seized in November 1979. Since this problem has been a major preoccupation and one of my high priority concerns over the past year, I therefore take particular pleasure in learning that it has been resolved. To the government and people of the United States, and especially to the families of the hostages, I wish to say how much I share their sense of relief and happiness at the positive outcome of this ordeal. This event marks the culmination of lengthy efforts by many individuals, governments, and institutions. Great credit is surely due to the government of Algeria for the skillful and dedicated way in which, over recent weeks, it has helped to mediate a solution.
to speak. The grim reality of those I can hear a sound, but not studio.
So nobody's talked to you yet?
Nobody's talked to me yet.
Westland's okay in New York. You're in New York.
I'm where?
There we are. Oh, well, they've not seen fit to say hello to you yet.
No, nobody said hello. Do you want me to call out or something? Hey, bonjour, London. Hello, London.
On?
Hello, London.
Okay. Take your massive pedestal down just a tad for me.
You can't move yourself back, can you?
Hmm?
Can you move yourself back?
Blacks are a little high. A little more sparkling.
Hello, London. There's nobody talking to me in London. I mean, can they hear me?
It's supposed to be off or on? A little bit tighter framing. We always keep ours off.
And they look good, do you think?
Yeah, what we wanted to do is control the pedestal.
Why do you keep it on?
We just don't feel we need it.
How's it looking, Johnny?
Good, fine.
What's the length?
1310.
It's not a bad package. David, I've heard nothing from London.
Well, we'll see them in a minute.
Do they want to do the two-way first?
Monitoring there. Let's have a look what we can hear.
Hello, London.
David, you want any speaking over here or what?
No, it's just a bit can't. Do you mind if I have the last I think it's probably in there.
You just said you might have the list.
Come in there.
Can I get him closer to the wall? Will that kill the wall? No.
Can I get him closer to the wall?
You don't want him closer. You want him closer to the camera.
No, because the picture's too small in relation to
They're
him.
happy with that shot.
They are.
And they want Peter to do his straight piece to camera
All right,
and
so
then
do
feed
it
the
now.
package. We can't do the two-way because the studio's tied up at the moment.
Okay.
So
All right, because I can't hear anything from London at all.
they can't talk to us until they finish the round
So,
of news.
do they want to...
So do
Dave,
straight piece.
They are recording. You just do your straight piece and I'll come back and tell them. You want this? Oh, you want...
Lean that way just a shade, Peter. Not too much. Come back. Come back just a little bit. That's it, right there.
What do you want?
is the paper in the shot?
No.
Well, I'm ready to go in 5. Here I go then. Do you want to see if they want it now? And I'll go in 5. Well, the grim reality of those 444 days and nights in Iranian hands is now beginning to emerge. In phone calls to their families back here in the United States, the hostages, or at least the former hostages, are beginning to give some of the details. Malcolm Culp says that he spent about 160 days in solitary confinement for trying to repeatedly escape. What's more, he was beaten up. While interrogators lied to Marine Sergeant Johnny McKeel. They told him that his mother was dead, but he said, "I only gave them my name, rank, and serial number." Now, not all the hostages spent the full 444 days in captivity. The blacks and the women were released after 2 weeks, and Richard Queen was released after 250 days on medical grounds. Queen had been sworn to secrecy about what had gone on in the embassy by the State Department, but this morning he was free to speak at last. That's the first bit done, David. Shall I get out of here now?
They're checking tape. Why don't you stand by for a moment?
Otherwise I'll be sweating like nobody's business if I sit here too long.
Amerika feierte gestern einen doppelten Freudentag, die Einführung des neuen Präsidenten und die Freigabe der Geiseln. Nachdem 31 Musikkapellen, Hunderte von Soldaten, Cowboys, Indianern und Trappern, ein Hundeschlitten und 29 Reitereinheiten an dem neuen Präsidenten der Vereinigten Staaten im Paradeschritt vorbeimarschiert waren, übermannten Ronald Reagan Freude und Rührung. Als die 300 Sänger des Mormon Tabernacle Chors die Schlachthymne der Republik sangen, wischte er sich eine Träne aus dem Auge.
Well, this administration's objective will be a healthy, vigorous growth.
With Ronald Reagan's inaugural speech being monitored in Tehran, the Iranians were obviously waiting for the death of the Carter era. Finally, after all of the false alarms, crushed hopes, and diplomatic brinksmanship, the 52 were one by one taken from an airport bus and with their arms forced to their sides, subjected to one last chorus of hatred, death to America. But these Americans maintained their dignity, some of them smiling, others confused, most of them restrained, almost defiant.
Thank you. Hi.
Inside the Algerian plane, their long-denied joy was welling to the surface. There were surges of emotion, reunions between those who had been isolated from one another since the embassy was taken over. And in that moment, which 52 families and millions of Americans had been praying for, the hostage plane became a freedom plane. Mike Lee, ABC News, London.
Tun mit Reis.
And he said not chicken legs and rice.
Vor dem Weißen Haus wurde der Christbaum eilends neu angezündet. Er war zum Gedenken an die Geiseln 2 Weihnachtsfeste dunkel geblieben. Amerika schmückte sich heute mit gelben Bändern, die zu einem Zeichen der Verbundenheit mit den Geiseln geworden waren und nun ein herzliches Willkommen signalisieren. Die Fackel der Freiheitsstatue wurde zu Ehren der Heimkehrer entzündet. Amerika lässt einen dunklen Albtraum hinter sich.
The Reagan administration. Recapping the hostage story.
And there's the Jones family in Detroit.
It was the moment the Lopez family had waited for 14 and a half months. On TV, Marine Sergeant Jimmy Lopez, a free man at last. It wasn't until they saw him a second time, a close-up, that the tears began to flow. Mary Lopez, her oldest son, Richard. She kept saying, "I can't believe it." Family and friends sharing the tears, the joy, and the champagne.
The hostage bracelets are off in the home of the Reverend Earl Lee and his wife Hazel, and hundreds more are coming off in Pasadena, California, where the fate of son Gary Lee had become a community concern, and finally, cause for community relief.
There he is right there!
And last night, celebration in the Lee home as Gary Lee walked into view on television pictures from Algiers and Frankfurt. His beard longer, his body thinner, said his parents, but looking good.
In Sherman Oaks, California, Deborah Plotkin talked with her husband, Jerry, a businessman. The parents of the embassy vice consul, Donald Cook, talked with their son from their living room in Memphis. Mr. Cook's a professor, and at one point he sounded like one.
Right now. You look great on TV.
We've been watching every step of the way, kid. We know exactly what you did, all the way from the Teherán airport right to where you are right now.
The mother of embassy guard Stephen Kirtley scanned the screen at a television studio in Little Rock, Arkansas, looking for her 22-year-old son.
I think that's him. That's him.
The anchorman called her three daughters to comfort her.
That's him.
Come on.
Come on, Mom. Oh, you look good. Oh, silly grin.
Later at home, she actually spoke and listened to her son.
Get here.
All right, hey, I love you.
I love you, hon. Be good.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
There was no opportunity planned for the 50 men and 2 women to meet with reporters in West Germany, but Martha Teichner spoke with 2 of the hostages.
What did you do on the plane when you first got on?
Talk.
There were microphones present earlier during a brief stopover in Algiers.
How you feeling? Fine. Great now. What are you going to do when you get home? Party.
The one thing I'd like to say right now to everybody back home is you can never imagine how much the letters and your prayers and your support through all of this have meant to us. We weren't able to write to you or communicate with you, but only the Lord knows how much it helped. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
When my thoughts escaping home, when my music's playing home, when my love lies waiting silently for me, silently for me.
Extraordinary scenes, aren't they? And they took place, in fact, as President Reagan was starting his new administration. He'd set himself the theme, a new beginning, and little could he have guessed just what a new beginning it was going to turn out to be on Inauguration Day. No wonder all the balls and the parties here in Washington last night had a very special sense of celebration, a celebration shared by President Reagan and his First Lady to the very end.
Mind if I have the last dance with my lady?
And with that, the nation's 40th president and his First Lady came to the end of a long and incredible day. A day Mr. Reagan called perfect because of the release of the hostages. Susan Peterson, NBC News.
This is Peter Hobday in Washington, talking to London in this sort of level. This is how I'll be answering the questions. Good evening. Here in Washington, the weather is somewhat overcast. It's raining slightly, but that hasn't dampened the spirit or the sense of celebration in this company town. Who was that? Very low level, that. Will they tell me where they want me to look for an eye line or something?
Oh, you look at the camera, I think. It's a good place to start.
Wait, no, I got an idea. Look.
It's mine. What did you say, Carol? A little bit to your right. Get it? Look. A little to your right.
That away.